So I see a lot of people kicking off the year with 2024 or what games am I looking for and those kind of lists or just looking for things in general. And I'm not that person. And I'm more worried about the other problem, and that's how do we find those things that we're looking forward to? So, like in general, I don't look forward to things because dates slip, things change, and there's enough stuff I already have to play that I'm not playing. So, you know, last year, 14,500 games were released on Steam, just Steam alone. So that is like, I did the math here somewhere. That is like 40 games a day. That's a lot of games. That's more than I can play. We have Game Pass out there as well. Then obviously PlayStation and Switch and other things, right? And so, how do you remove? And then Epic Online is now allowing people just to put up games as well. So there'll be a flood of games on that service as well. So like, how do you remove gatekeeping, which is good, and yet help people find games? So when we first had this at Steam, I was one of the people who went with I think it was Alden gave the talk at Bungie because we had a little meeting at Bungie with some of the local indie devs to talk about, hey, we're going to open up Steam and how to do it. And there were some people really, really mad and really, really angry. And at the time, I offered this bet kind of thing, not officially, just on the side. You show me the diamond in the rough that is undiscovered by the community that isn't your game, right? You have to exclude your game because your game you can't judge. But what's the real diamond in the rough that doesn't get discovered? Because at the time, there was a bunch of websites and there's a bunch of news coverage. And so there's a lot of value in finding the undiscovered game. Like Rock Paper Shotgun was really good at this, right? And they kind of rose to fame a lot on finding games that were not on people's radar. But the world's changed. And websites have been diminished in their value. And they are just kind of end parts of social media, right? So you go on Facebook or Twitter, or you really should not go on Twitter or Facebook, but you do. Blue Sky, Mastodon, go on those, and you will see a link, and it'll be to one of those sites, and that's kind of how you find those sites now. It's not the same as people just living on those sites how they used to do, and so it's how those sites then need to attract traffic is different, and so that's why you see whenever there's a popular game, 500 3 things you should know before starting, or other kind of guide stuff, because then they could talk about that game, and the actual value of their reviews or their opinions have been diminished. And we've said that for a while, that people can go watch Twitch streams. Now the problem with Twitch streams is at first, yeah, that was a great idea. Get people to stream your game. But now the big Twitch streamers play the same game, right? They're Fortnite streamers, they're PUBG streamers, whatever. There's variation, sure, and they mix it up, or they'll move wholesale to something for a while. But to pay them is expensive, first of all. And second of all, a lot of times they'll just do these hit and run streams and not consistent. What you want is somebody to make that your game, right? And that's really hard, that's really expensive. And it changes the kind of games we make. That's why people make so many multiplayer games now, because it's stream friendly, right? Would Lethal Company be as big of a game as a solo playing game that you could stream, but it would just be single player? There's some horror stuff, sure, but the world's changed, right? And so that diamond in the rough problem no longer exists. That problem, it really exists now, right? I would not make that bet anymore, because there's a lot of really good games that just don't get their due, or kind of languish and mediocre, neither hit nor miss. So what most developers have learned is, on the dev side, is you've got to bring the community to the platform now. You have to bring your community to Steam. Like, I wish I had started this TikTok channel years ago instead of just watching TikToks, and that would have helped our game immensely. Even if you didn't buy the game, your interest in it, the traffic around it would have just helped, right? Because it's always, I'll get people who are like, oh my God, you may have a TikTok account. I had no idea. Why is it so small? Well, because you got to start somewhere, man. Like, and you grow over time, right? And so I don't care about that. I care about, I wish I'd done it earlier, because this is a valuable way to do it, right? And so that's one of the things. And you see a lot of people, but there's a bunch of small devs that I follow that have like 300 followers, right? And which, by the way, go follow those small devs. I'm going to be doing a regular thing where I link to them more, because that really helps them. Even if you just skip through the video, it is helpful that they're growing, that they've gotten some feedback. Because you'll see something, you'll be like, oh man, that's cool. That's cool. I saw something the other day about the Crow game that I was just cracking up over. But so then this pushes the problem down to devs to solve this, right? And so often what a dev will do then is be like, hey, we should go to a publisher because a publisher can help break through this noise. And they can, because publishers have relationships where they can get some of this stuff for cheaper. Or they just know what's working today because it's changing again so much, right? And so all of a sudden then people are back into publishers, and you see there's a lot of indie publishers, but now all of a sudden a lot of indie publishers are having a hard time. And that means then that a lot of indie devs are going to have a hard time. Now, yes, solo devs making it on their own, people making it on their side. I think like Watching the Engineers team, which are just a couple of non-game devs making a game. And I'm not trying to besmirch them with that. But like, right, like there's a bunch of other kind of ways that people have to hustle now to get that out. And maybe that's fine. And maybe that is what it is. We are big AAA, and the double A's are going to keep having a hard time. Like, yes, I am talking some of my own book here, but also I've talked to a bunch of other people about my size that have been really been having a problem this year as well, in particular. So there's that problem, and that problem is a problem to discuss. And as a player, you kind of don't have to care, but it is going to affect you. But then my question then to players is, how do you find your diamonds in the rough? Those things that aren't known. Like, so for a long time, Eric Wolpaw and I, we shared offices together, worked together, and he is a guy who is excited about the future, and he is dreaming about every future release. And so I offloaded that to him, and he would be the one who would be like, oh my God, Road Rash for the 3DO is going to be amazing. We got to get a 3DO, or he has to get a 3DO because that's what he did. Thank you, Eric. That is a really good game. But right, like there's that kind of finding it through a friend. And is that how people do it now? How do you find the things you don't know about? I mean, a lot of it's haphazard. I think a lot of it, for me, just thinking me, is kind of haphazard, or something catches my eye, or somebody just mentions it and it puts it on my radar a little bit. But then it's like, how long can it be on my radar? Because if it's going to be 2 years out, I kind of don't care. But also, I sometimes like to watch smaller devs work on something from the beginning and do that. And I am one to talk. Sometimes they're are unedited and poorly formatted and kind of rambly. Yeah, I know, me talking about rambling. But there you go. And I don't have the time for that. I don't know where people get time. I honestly, I should do a whole video on that. I don't know how you guys watch TV shows. I have no time for that. So I guess though the question here, the point here is, with 14,500 games, 14,500 games coming out on Steam, where do you find the games that you want to play? Are you actually going through the Steam queue? Like, the Steam queue is supposed to help with that, but my God, that's overwhelmed now. I don't have time to go through 40 games a day just to see what I like and don't like. So I am kind of curious of how people are approaching this and what are your ways of finding things and trying them out. You know, I think, I hate to say this, using refunds as a demo is kind of a valid way. As a developer, I'll tell you, I don't mind if someone does that. I think our game's good and holds up to it. So, you know, if you want to return it afterwards, that's cool too. No hard feeling. Which is always the thing. It's like, if you don't like my game, that is cool. I don't. It's not a fight. Everyone likes everything, right? So some people like you have bad taste. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. So yeah, that's kind of the question. Yeah, I don't have a good answer because I'm not sure. I'm not sure because it changes all the time, and it feels like we are in a very big period of change on this. So let me know in the comments. Thanks.